Boom. Stallz in the
Yo,
house.
what's up?
Yo, man. I'm excited to have you here. I'm always excited to do these
Thank you.
podcasts with you guys because I don't get a chance all the time to sit down and just ask questions and go through all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, what's up, man? What's new with you?
I don't know, man. Just been dancing, been working, right? Just living good life. I went to WrestleMania earlier this year.
No way. You went to
Yeah.
WrestleMania?
Oh
Oh, shoot.
man, had a really good time and like came back with all this merch and like watched a bunch of wrestling shows with my cousins and my brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so fun. It was in Dallas, Texas, and WrestleMania was at Cowboys AT&T Stadium.
So that giant like stadium?
Yeah, massive,
Like how many
massive.
can that hold? Like 50,000 or something like that?
No, way more.
More than 50,000?
101,006, something like that. 101,000 is
What?
our WrestleMania attendance.
That's crazy, but that's not the capacity. Is that capacity?
I think there was like an all-star game that was higher attendance, so not quite capacity.
But that's still a freaking load of people. I don't even know how you'd like navigate all like through that people. Like
Yeah.
how close were your seats?
Not too close. We were on the football field on risers.
Okay.
So there were people, lots of people in front of us. When you watch WrestleMania, sometimes on wide shots you could see our Canadian flag.
Oh,
and that's where
damn.
we're sitting because we're on camera side.
Okay.
But like very seldom. So I don't know, far close-ish.
Far
Right.
closest. Yeah. That's
On
always
the
a,
field.
That's always a weird question, I guess, to answer.
Yeah.
But like, so wow, 100 plus thousand people. That's crazy. How did you buy tickets for that? You just like, did it get sold out really quick, or what? What was the story behind that?
Oh man, we were trying to buy travel packages and we planned it for sure like a year and a half. Like WrestleMania, I think the year before still had tickets on sale and we were already starting to plan. And we're trying to get travel packages online. That thing sold out in like half an hour.
Whoa.
So we had to buy individual tickets to every event.
Oh.
And then it turned out to be like, I don't know, just buying tickets online like months in advance. That was our experience pretty much.
Okay. Wow. That's great. Who were the main event like people?
The main event,
There's probably like 6 or 7 main events
Yeah.
or whatever, but yeah.
like the big names, Undertaker,
Who did you?
The Rock.
go
The
against?
Rock had a match by surprise, and it was like the shortest match.
Oh,
in
was it the
WrestleMania
rock bottom? The rock bottom, right?
Yeah.
Like, boom, and then like pin, and then that was it.
Yeah. Oh man, it was the most people, like the biggest event I've ever been to, or I probably will ever be to in my life.
Yeah.
Right, like that stadium. Most stadiums have like first level, second level, third level. And then they stop. This one has a fourth and a fifth. It just keeps going.
That's insane. Because like MTS Center is like 15,000 max, right?
Yeah.
So imagine multiplying that by what, like, I don't even know how the math, but like a lot, like 8 or something, like 15,000 times whatever. Like that's insane how many people can actually be in that. Like, just imagine being the engineer, just trying to like build something like that. Oh, this is gonna hold 100,000 plus people. What? You're crazy, man. No, I'm gonna do it. I swear. Everything's bigger in Texas.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. Like, wow. Wait, who else was in that? There's Undertaker. The Rock was in it.
Oh, this was the WrestleMania. It was planned like really early because it was the big stadium.
Yeah.
So the rumors were it's gonna be Sting versus Undertaker, and that's what I tried to buy my ticket for.
Yeah.
But Sting ended up getting injured, like a few months before that, and retiring from wrestling.
Oh. Okay.
And then a bunch of their young guys got injured, maybe like 7 people
Whoa.
or something. Like not majority, but noticeable amount of people were off the event. One guy broke his ankle, another guy hurt his knee, somebody else hurt I think a knee injury again, and then like men, women, a bunch of people were out of the event. So we kind of had like the people that were left, like Shane McMahon wrestled at WrestleMania, and he's like
his shuffle.
yeah, it's like his return, right? So he hasn't been there for 6 years, and Oh, he jumped off the cage, which was nuts, man.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah.
He did like a big stunt, like because he can't wrestle a match. He's not an athlete. He's not trained,
Yeah.
except for whatever training he had in his lifetime. Like,
You can do a triangle.
yeah, he's got his boxing, right? Oh man, but yeah, he did this crazy stunt. Like that was a trippy thing to witness too. His free fall,
Yeah.
and it was like super risky stunt. Like,
Was it an elbow drop from the cage down to the announcer's table?
yeah,
Was
like
it that?
a
Yeah.
20-foot drop, but you're just gonna land on a table that has some kind of padding underneath.
Yeah.
Like I think it's worked. In my opinion, it's a work table. But
Oh
like
yeah.
man, if you miss, now you can't walk anymore. Like
Yeah, that's crazy. Like, I can't even imagine that. And who does it hurt most? Like the guy on the table if he lands, or the guy who's freaking falling onto the table, right? Like it's like it seems like a lose situation.
Yeah.
Either way.
yeah, but it's like entertainment, right? Like
Yeah.
this one, the guy moved, so he just hit the table, like,
Yeah.
and then the match was pretty much over. The whole point of the match was to get over this big stunt, this 20-foot free fall,
Uh-huh.
right? In front of all these people in this arena or this stadium, right? Yeah, man, it was crazy to see.
Yeah, that's funny when they move out of the way too. It's just like they like Shane McMahon jumps off, and then was he versing the Undertaker?
Yes.
Yeah, Undertaker just like suddenly like comes to life and it's like, oh, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
And then he's gone. Yo, yeah, I forget that you're into wrestling. Do you still watch a lot of wrestling now?
Yeah,
Like
for
WWE?
sure.
Yeah.
I go through my phases where I'm like completely obsessed with something, right? I'll just yeah, so wrestling's been one of them, right? Breaking's one of them, and I'll try and keep them to something like productive, something healthy. Like breaking is a good one to always come back to.
And have you worked like some of the, I guess, wrestling moves into your breaking? I don't know
Oh
if
man,
I think I remember
tons of it.
seeing some kind of elbow drop type thing that you did or whatever before.
Oh yeah, man. Like even some of the concepts behind wrestling manifest themselves into my b-boy style, right? Like if you look at Dwayne Johnson, who's The Rock, like very famous actor and wrestler, his gimmick is The Rock, and The Rock is this guy who like wears $300 shirts and like he's talks smack on everybody. He clowns everybody, even your top face, your top heel. He'll clown on everybody, and the whole crowd will laugh at you. Right? That's his
Yeah.
gimmick. You know, my gimmick is more like the gimmick of Stallz. Right? Stallz can do stuff that I couldn't do.
Right.
Right? Like really just burn somebody badly in a way that everybody in the room is looking and laughing at your opponent, right? Like
Yeah.
a demoralizing burn, right? I wouldn't do that stuff to people in real life. Like in my real life, I like put a big effort to spread love to everybody, but
Yeah.
as my gimmick, if I'm battling, like I have an outlet to turn the volume up.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting because I've heard I guess it's from women most of the time. They're like, "Oh, that guy looks like a jerk." And they're like referring to like a b-boy, and I'm
Yeah.
like, and then I was like, "Oh no, that's just him in the battle. That's not him in real life. That's not like they were referring to I'm gonna throw some shade at, not really, but like to Winston because like a girl mentioned like, "Oh, that guy, I don't like the way he is like or whatever." But I'm like, Winston's just like he just doing things in the battle, and like outside the battle, he's not like that.
Yeah.
So I had to explain that to that one lady, and then she's like, "Oh, okay." I don't know if she believed me, but still.
Yeah, sometimes it's like, I don't know, maybe it's like a yin yang or something, right? There's a balance to everything. So if you stay one side too much, like the overly aggressive side, if you just stay there, then you're gonna be unbalanced. It's gonna seem like you're an overly aggressive person. That's why contrast is so important. If you have a character that's overly aggressive, you also have to have moments that are like overly non-aggressive.
Yeah.
Like you need the balance. That's why if you look at like my breaking is a very character-heavy style. It's a very maybe like emotion-driven style, or like I express things with emotion instead of just
Yeah.
movement on its own.
Right.
It's like the motion causes the motion.
Oh shit! Just
Yeah.
drop that.
I didn't make that up though.
Oh, who made that up? You know?
Somebody else. Somebody said it. I heard it's a flip on something I heard somebody else say.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
thought you made that up. I was like, oh, that's still sick. That's still sick.
Yeah, no doubt. I don't know. I don't think anybody really makes things up, right? Like to create, you have to create from what's already there,
Yeah.
right? Like it's with everything, right? Like if I create some kind of, I don't know, some kind of b-boy style based off wrestling, it's like my inspiration was there. If I create some kind of step based off 6-step, my inspiration was there, or some windmill variation, right? Like
Right.
it's just evolution of what people in front of you put. Like we stand on the shoulders of giants, as they say.
Yeah, like nothing's really new. It's just an adaptation of what already existed before. How did you start breaking? How did you start dancing? What was the story behind that? Because I don't think even I know about that kind of history, and I'm sure people listening to this are like curious. Oh, what's Stall's background? Like what? Like how did he start?
Yeah, because my story is like different. I don't quite have those homies like who are breaking with me right now, and we've been doing it since day one. Like I was my first crew was the Bbots crew, and a lot of people kind of ask me this or want to know because they don't know, so I'll put it out there now. Bbots started. Me and my cousin Mike were gonna battle this guy he met in driver's ed, Jeff, and his friend Derek. Right? Like I was interested in breaking. I've seen it like whatever little clips I've seen on the internet. And then as soon as me and my cousin found somebody else who braked, like we set it up, okay, Friday we're gonna battle. Right? And then like at the end of the week, we already were gonna battle these guys like without really practicing except for like 2 practices or something. But yeah, my introduction for breaking was like originally battling these 2 guys and then battling every Friday after that, and just like little by little forming the Bbots crew with my friends from high school. And Bbots, like we battled every single week, and I don't know, what I see now is it's just a really different story for what's happening right now in breaking.
Yeah.
Right?
When did you start? When did you start breaking? Like what year?
Okay, what year? It's hard to say. I was probably 16, so man. Yeah, I think I started in 2001.
Oh, damn. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I was dancing with Bbots in high school, and then probably we entered one Break for Bread, and I entered one Mid-Canada battle, and lots of underground battles, lots of cypher battles, like majority cypher battles at that time.
Where would you have these cypher battles?
You would go to like socials, debuts, or just like public events. And then we would bait people. My friend Jeff would like dance in the circle, and he'd break, but he'd break really basic stuff, really weak execution.
Yeah.
Right? And then I'd be on the side. My crew would be on the side watching. And then as soon as people would join in to get into the cypher, boom, somebody else from the side is already calling them out. And then the boys better come too. And it's like, then it just turns into a crew on crew battle, or whoever they're with, we're trying to battle them. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Wow,
really
that's
like
so funny. Oh, I murdered you. Oh.
oh yeah, man, it was fun back then. Like battling strangers, right? Like going to a school dance at another school with the intent just to battle.
Yeah, that's so cool, man. That's so. I remember going to like the booths and stuff and be like, okay, all right, wait until this song comes on. Oh, okay, sick. This is my song, and like boom, and I start just like, I don't know, some guy who's like a little bit drunk would just like try to like thinks that he could like battle or whatever, and then you just like murk him or whatever, and it's like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
I used to do that too. Well, my version of that, but yeah.
Yeah. Have you been in a lot of cypher battles for your style? Like,
Well, at the beginning, because I didn't really start popping until the end of 2008. I just had moves. I just had different moves. Like I knew how to glide since I was like 12 or whatever, and I knew how to do an arm wave. And I just had these different moves, and I just put them into something. And I didn't call it popping or anything. I just like I'm just like doing moves, right? Like you see, you got served. Oh, I just take some moves from that, bite some of that, and then
Yeah.
just go into a circle. I remember one time in junior high, we were at Wheelies, and then they have like the that dance floor in the middle kind of thing, and then you just like go there and then, oh, I just did this King Tut sequence from from like you got served, and like, oh shoot, like and then
Yeah.
everybody would be biting that and be like, oh, somebody did the statue thing where they molded the guy and like
Yeah.
did the smile thing or whatever. But yeah, no, that's how it was for me before, and then I started coming out to the B-boy events and then just throw down randomly at those things. Like, oh, I guess I gotta go in now.
Yeah. So what kept you dancing, like popping? Like it's a style not big in this city, I would
Yeah.
consider. I may be wrong, but
Yeah. It's definitely not that big in the city. Andrew, could you put the headphone volume up in my thing? I can't really hear myself that much. But okay, okay, cool. Yeah, no. With that, with popping, sorry, what was the question again?
oh, what kept you popping?
Oh, what kept me popping? Okay, yeah. So with that, I don't know. I just really like the music. I think the music associated with popping it's a very simple rhythm, right? It's like a four
Yeah.
by four beat and like a strong clap, and then like it's very rooted in it's rooted a lot in the funk. So um, just when I hear that music, I'm like, okay, damn, I gotta get down to this. And it's a very like almost like a magical dance. Sounds kind of
Mhm.
corny, but like
Yeah.
it is because you're doing things that look like, oh, that shouldn't even be possible. Like you could do that, like you're gliding around, or like you pop and then you just like, or you look like a robot or
Yeah.
some stuff like that. And I'm like, oh damn, like I want to learn how to do that stuff. And then I think I just really like the dance. That's pretty much it. And the music is really dope. I still listen to a lot of funk music. I don't even listen to that much hip hop actually.
Mm-hmm.
I listen to a lot of funk based stuff. So yeah, man, that's what kept me popping. Just the music and like the love for it. So
Oh, nice. The reason I think I asked that is because, like, I saw the generation of poppers that started when I started breaking. Like, their popping was big along with B-boy crews, and then they just died out. Like, around the time I started breaking, crews used to always have at least one popper, one representative of that style of dance.
mm-hmm.
And then there was, it's funny, I forgot about this until I listened to the CypherTalk with Raphael here,
Yeah,
with Egg, the EJ. And he was saying how something like I was breaking and then I took a break from it
yeah,
and then I came back. And I had forgot about that, but he remembered that from being younger. But yeah, when I came back from breaking, like the popping scene was very much not dead, but not seen, like
mm-hmm.
people still pop, like Drift and Bob, they still pop, but it was something that you didn't see, like significantly there weren't people popping anywhere is what I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah, from my perception, from my point of view.
Uh, when did you get involved with Dancers Club? Because I found out you got involved with that like before I did and stuff, and you guys
Mhm.
did some shows and whatnot. I saw some performance footage or whatever. But yeah,
Oh yeah, I
what's the
was
story behind there?
I think Dancers Club, they kind of just put me down because we practiced together and trained together, and we had a connection from Phil, who was in Creative Differences, and we did a lot of shows together. Like we would get paid gigs, and choreography is something that's always been like a struggle for b-boying in my experience. Trying to get many b-boys on the same page to learn a routine. So I'd like enlist Dancers Club to come help out for our gigs, and then eventually they asked for us to help out for their gigs, and maybe like 2 years we did shows together because they always had Chinese New Year show. We'd do a New Year's show. We'd have bar mitzvahs. So yeah, when Dancers Club was like Yao and Jack
Yeah,
around that time, Yao, Jack, Phil was there, and then I didn't know the other ones too well. That's the time when we were like doing a lot of shows with them.
Okay, yeah, yeah. I remember hearing about or finding out about Yao, and I'm like, holy crap, this guy's here! Like this guy's sick.
Yeah.
So you actually met him before any of I guess me, or maybe you met him at the same time Allison met him. I don't know. I don't know if Allison met him before you or whatnot. But yeah, because Allison, we had her on last week. She said that yeah, she met Yao, and that's how she started like learning how to pop and stuff. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's crazy how that there's a kind of connection.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know Calvin
Yeah.
from before?
Yeah.
Was he around in a crew or anything like back in the day? When I say back in the day, I'm talking about like early 2000s, mid 2000s or something.
Yeah. Well, when Calvin was in Dancers Club, this is the time when we were doing shows because I remember that he printed cards for us to give out.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I did a couple of shows with Calvin. He probably still has footage.
Oh yeah, man. I bet you that guy's holding like a bunch of stuff, just hoarding it, and they're like, "Oh, hey guys, remember this?"
Yeah. Yeah, he was later in Dancers Club because I remember Jack and Yao being established for a while with their students before Calvin kind of came in.
And then you had like, is that where you also met Anton and Cardi and all those guys, or did those guys come later?
No, they probably came before Dancers Club, right?
Okay.
I started putting together Creative Differences crew. Um, so I think it was me, Chris Boogie, and MJ at first, or no, very first was me and Chris Boogie, because we were the last two of the B-Bots crew.
Hmm.
So we're trying to get back into battling again. We're already training for a while. Then shortly after, MJ joined, and we heard that Tato Shik was coming to move here. So we wanted to meet him, some guy who does like crazy blow-ups
Hmm.
and a lot of flips, right? And I wanted to battle him because, I don't know. I think I was known a bit for blow-ups at that time because I was doing a lot of elbow stuff,
Yeah.
kind of elbow freezes and transitions to other elbow freezes. So I met through Tatoshik through battling him and then through practicing later, something like that. And then Cardi later came on because he joined us for Break for Bread to battle with me, Tatoshik, MJ. I'm missing somebody else, but Cardi
Hmm.
came on like to join this Break for Bread and then later just practice with us and later started to get down with the crew.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. Like, I don't think a lot of people mention Dancers Club nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and what kind of influence they had too, because that was a mix of different kind of dancers for sure. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. Like there's like poppers there, there's breakers there, there's like
There's
it's like
new
a
jazz.
yeah. There was a bunch of like stuff that like kind of came out of there. And now like Holy Funk doing their
Yeah.
thing, and they don't get mentioned a lot too. So that's why I like to mention them
Mm-hmm.
because they're kind of holding it down for that's like the other little popping scene
Yeah.
other than like Good Funk and what we do, and so yeah.
Isn't some people from Holy Funk in like CCAT or in some kind of choreo crew now? Like at least one of the members.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
No?
No, like we had a session a couple weeks ago with his name is, they call him Pop and Cal.
Mm-hmm.
Calvin, I forgot. His name is Calvin as well, but he's like a younger guy who's in CCAT, and then he does like some like popping styles and stuff.
Okay.
So we did a session there, and then so he's in the choreo scene, but I don't think anybody from Holy Funk is in CCAT now, unless I'm missing somebody.
So that guy is not in Holy Funk.
No.
Okay.
No.
So I just got it mixed up.
Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, like as far as I know, man, I don't know.
Okay.
Like it's crazy how many dancers there are, like in the
Yeah.
choreo scene, and you like I never heard of these people before, right? Like there's people teaching classes, and like whoa, they're teaching classes. Like I like usually I know about the people who are coming up and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but then like now, especially in the last maybe 2 to 3 years or something, like I don't know like anything. They're like all from like they're all in high school or something, and then
Really?
and then like Yeah, it's crazy to think that in like around 2005, 2006 with the whole choreo boom,
Yeah.
and then like seeing it what it is now, I'm like holy smokes, right? And I also noticed the difference in the breaking scene too.
What's
Like
that?
I remember, well, maybe it's just because just started watching the events,
Mm-hmm.
but at the beginning, like around 2007, 2008, when I started getting into some of the events, at Break for Bread, it used to be like a huge thing, right? Like they have it at Sister, and then it's just like this,
Yeah.
like it seemed like a serious, like legit Showtime type thing. Where like, oh, it's like there's like some kind of prestige behind being in a crew and battling with your crewmates and stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
then now it's a little bit like, oh, there's a lot of all styles events.
Oh
It's
yeah.
I don't see a lot of crew versus crew b-boy battles
Yeah.
anymore. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. Well, there's a pattern, right? Everything happens in waves. Like as it's going further from crew versus crew and going more towards individual all styles dancers, it's gonna come back in a wave that's more crew versus crew. And now the all style dancers individually are gonna be stronger. So in that way, the crews are gonna be stronger. It's
Mhm.
like part of the natural flow of things. But yeah, we do need more crew stuff. Like I've been saying it for years. I always wanted more teamwork sets in my breaking. Um, since Creative Differences crew, that was like my first outlet to really have people on the same page as for getting routines down, right? Like,
Mhm.
yeah, your question. Sorry, I have to go back to the question. My mind skips around a
I
bunch.
just was wondering what your thoughts were on like how the b-boy scene has changed throughout, like I guess 2008, 2007 from like until now. So that's like almost 10 years or something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know anything. I don't really know much about what was happening before that because I wasn't really there. I mean, I did see a few things. I remember when Kevio, um, he must have just started breaking or something, because Kevio and who's my cousin, started breaking at like socials and stuff, and like I would see his older brother, Rude, just like who's like really good at the time too. I was like, oh shoot, that's pretty sick. But that's all
Yeah.
I had, and then like went to Sisler, and then I started going to the Break for Bread events, and seeing that. But like, what are your thoughts of it now? Like, how should like how do you see it going now with the breaking?
I see right now, individuals are getting strong, right? Like you see the standouts. People always say the same names, right? Like people are noticeably getting good and standing out from the rest of their crew, right? Um, yeah, but as people get better in breaking, like there's some kind of concept that I play around with or I think about is that if something along the lines of if you grow, we all grow,
Yeah,
right? Like
like the
yeah,
rising tide raises all ships kind of mentality.
yeah,
Is it
right.
that? Yeah. Okay.
Like if the focus shifts from getting my skills over as into getting my crews over, once that wave happens and crews become strong, then there can be more of a scene, right?
Yeah.
When it's only individuals becoming strong and it's like, that separation,
Yeah.
um, you can, there's going to be a window or a glass ceiling, as they say.
Right. Like they can't go any further until the other crew kind of or the rest of their crew kind of gets better as well. Is that what you're trying
Yeah,
to say?
yeah, they
Yeah.
say steel sharpens steel,
Yep.
right?
I think that might just be the work ethic of those individual people. Like there's some people that are always gonna stand out in like in their crew, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I also believe, yeah, that's true that you have to kind of um, have somebody to compete with in your own crew, so you guys push each other, or even have multiple people. I also think that it's a factor in high school where like a lot of high school dancers are going to the choreo scene rather than breaking. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you could do both, right?
Yep.
But you often see that now because like when I was in high school, which was like 2005 to 2008, right, or 2004 or whatever, 2008, um, people would be taking up breaking. Like, I guess my era was like my era. sound like I'm a b-boy, but I'm not really. But like it was when Chan was coming up. It was when like Caldwell was breaking. I don't know if you know Caldwell from Sisler.
I know his name, and I know he used to break, but he
Yeah.
quit right
Yeah.
away.
Yeah.
So I don't know him anymore.
So there was people. Chris Jupiter. Was it Chris Jupiter?
Sounds familiar too. Yeah, I know the name.
Yeah. But yeah, Chan and a few others started breaking, and I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. But like, and they did their choreo scene too, but now it just seems like, oh, they're all just going straight to choreo.
Yeah, I could see that, man. Like, if you're gonna be a b-boy in the scene, like, you're gonna fucking battle somebody. You know what I mean? Like, you're not just gonna go, oh, I'm gonna break dance in this circle and it's open, like, and people are not gonna call you out. You know?
Yeah.
Like, that's part of this culture. It's a battle dance. This dance, to me, has always been a battle dance. You know, the word battle comes first, right? Like, any kind of show I've done on stage, that's secondary. Even at a certain point, even like competitions and tournaments and events is secondary. Like, that raw battle is very important. That's what this dance is based on. It's based on like testing your style, your crew style, testing other people. It's like old martial arts movies, right? Your gym knows kung fu, well, my gym knows Shaolin tiger style.
Yeah.
Right?
It's funny you mentioned that because last night I was just looking up the different kung fu styles, like the 5 main or whatever. Like there's the animal styles or whatever.
Yeah.
And like the tiger, the leopard,
Oh, yeah.
the crane.
Oh yeah, I
the
use a snake, man.
Yeah, I've seen you use a snake. That's crazy. But I was like, how can I adapt this into something that I could use for my dance style, right? So I was looking at it and I was thinking, maybe I could use this for some locking type thing. Because sometimes like the way you're dancing gets kind of old, and it's just like, oh, I need something fresh to like, add into there. So I was looking up that kind of stuff. I'm like, oh, this is deadly, like tiger style and stuff like that, like
Yeah.
dragon style. Like, oh
Yeah.
shoot. But yeah, man. Oh, we got to talk about MMA because
Okay.
you're a fan of MMA,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. What are you looking forward to this Diaz and McGregor 2 or what?
Diaz McGregor too. You know, the first one was a really exciting fight. Honestly, I'm a bit more hyped for CM Punk's debut.
Yeah.
Because he was in pro wrestling, right? Like, I want to
versing
see him fight.
Mickey Gall, right? Is it
Yeah.
Mickey Gall? That seems like it's gonna be. I'm definitely gonna watch it. Like I didn't even really watch CM Punk when he was in WWE, but it's crazy because he has like no pro fights, right?
Yeah.
This is his first pro fight. It's in the UFC. It's against Mickey Gall, who's like has some experience, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh shoot, what is gonna happen, right?
Yeah. And it's a whole martial arts thing again, right? He's going to test himself. Like, he has that mindset where he's going to challenge himself, right? That's very important for learning. And it's very important for getting anything to a high level is to seek out challenges rather than to avoid them.
Yeah. I think that's a really important thing to point out too, because I'm just super curious on how he's gonna do, right?
Yeah.
Like we all know how Brock Lesnar did, right? Because he was a wrestler, like a legit NCAA wrestler, and then apparently CM Punk has some background in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, or like he's been training for a little while.
Kempo karate.
Okay, yeah. So I'm just super curious to see that. What do you think about all these like title changes and like there's a lot of commotion in the UFC right now, right?
It's crazy, man.
Like,
almost all the champs change except for Mighty Mouse.
Yeah.
Right?
We could talk about like even going a little bit further back, but Ronda Rousey losing the belt to Holly Holm with a crazy head kick.
Yeah.
And then Holly Holm losing to Miesha Tate with a rear naked choke.
Yeah.
And she just like punched. She was just punching in the air, and then she just went out.
Yeah, right. That's why I like MMA over boxing, because that realisticness, the full contact of it. If you get elbowed in the face, you're probably going down, or you're gonna be dramatically like, how do you say this? Dramatically affected by that damage you took.
Yeah.
Like in boxing, sometimes you see like people just walk through punches like hooks or something. Like it's too much padding.
Yeah, it seems like MMA is a very raw form of fighting and a more like it's more open rather than boxing, which is a limited form of boxing. I'm not hating on boxing. Like boxing is still cool. I just think like the amounts of weight, like the variety of ways somebody can get finished in MMA is like astounding. Like I was watching some of this these rare submissions
Yeah.
that they do, like the banana split. Have you heard of the banana split?
I think it's like a leg hold where is it like a groin ripper or something?
Yeah, you hold I think you with your two legs you hold the other guy's legs. And then you split the other guy. You use your arms to split the guy's other leg, so they turns into like a split or something, and they have to tap out because they're getting stretched out too much or something.
Yeah.
It's yeah. There's some crazy ways, but yeah, like Holly Holm losing the belt to Miesha Tate, and Miesha Tate losing the belt to Amanda Nunes, like that's some insane, crazy ass stuff. And then like I heard that Amanda Nunes is waiting for Rousey to come back, so.
Really, everybody wants that money fight, right? Rousey's a paycheck right there.
All of them want the money fight. Tyron Woodley defeating Robbie Lawler with that freaking right hand, and then he's calling out. Yeah, I was cheering for Robbie Lawler too, man. You don't even know, man. You don't even know.
He's like the ultimate baby face, man. He's so aggressive and like he defended his title so many times, even though he's like one of the oldest guys there.
Yeah. And then Tyron Woodley after the like in the press conference, the post fight press conference, just calling out GSP and or Nick Diaz. And I was like, oh shoot, if that actually happens, that's insane.
Should be good, man. I think I'm not as hyped for the Conor fight is because I haven't heard the promotion as much. Oh, right? Okay. I guess it's the rematch, but he lost already. Like,
yeah, but it's gonna be interesting this time because Conor McGregor like was insisting that it'll be still at 170, so they're still fighting at 170, same weight. So okay, that's the same. But the thing that's different now is that they both have time to prepare for each other, and it's kind of crazy because like I'm actually kind of glad it happened, even though I'm a big McGregor fan. I like Nate Diaz too, but it made Nate Diaz like a really big star. Yeah, and it did. Honestly, Nate Diaz should in some kind of way thank McGregor because like that's what kind of gave him like all that money, right? Like even if he had lost that fight, like if Nate Diaz lost that fight, he would still gotten paid like so much money. Yeah,
where for most of his career he was always Nick Diaz's little brother. Yeah. Right? Now this time he overshadowed his brother for sure. Like this was big like a big push for him.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like because I knew about him before, right? But he wasn't in the forefront like as like they didn't put him up as like a star, like Ronda Rousey or Conor McGregor or GSP in the past. So I thought that was interesting, but like is there any particular weight class that you're more excited about? Like really? Is there any like I'm asking like is there any one that you like the heavyweights or do you like the really fast like flyweights or whatever or
I don't know. I like some of the welterweights because that was GSP's division that he held for so long, and then it went to Robbie Lawler or Hendricks then Lawler. Yeah. So I always like that division, but Lawler got KO'd, so I don't know now, man. Maybe it depends on who the champion is, right? And right now the champions are mostly new, so it's hard to kind of get behind them.
It is like it's like part of the reason why I didn't want Amanda Nunes to win was because I couldn't really get behind her as like a fan. Like I mean, yeah, she's I don't know. I haven't seen too many of her fights. I've seen like maybe one or two. Yeah, but Miesha Tate was like I could get behind that because she's been in there for so long, and then she's trying to get the title for so long, and she was about to retire, but then she decided to come back or whatever and still fight. Yeah, I'm like wow, that's like super inspiring. Like when Michael Bisping got the belt from Rockhold. That was crazy.
That was incredible, like, man.
10 years of fighting in the UFC and then finally you got the belt. Like that's I really like seeing that. That kind of story is like holy crap, man. Yeah. Damn.
The mental toughness you have to go through those years and come back, right? Like you have to overcome so many things to get to that point. And to overcome those things long enough that you do change fate and you do win the world title, like the most prestigious award in that sport,
Yeah.
and you're the world champion. Like that's a pretty incredible story.
Yeah, that's like 10 years doing one dance style, and finally at Just Debut, you freaking win the whole thing. Like
Yeah.
that's like that's like the equivalent. That's what I kind of see. But yeah, and even Fabricio Verdum losing his title to Stipe Miocic. Did you see
Yeah.
that?
It's
Oh,
crazy.
damn.
Stipe fought here in Winnipeg when he was here.
Yeah, I was there too. You were at that event?
Yeah.
Oh man, when he fought Roy Nelson?
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
And that's where I noticed him. He was really good. Like good footwork, straight punches. Like really nice foundation.
Yeah, his boxing was like off the charts. It's like, holy crap. Like he boxed the hell out of Roy Nelson. I remember that because everybody was looking for Roy Nelson to land a crazy haymaker.
Yeah.
And it just didn't happen. It was like, oh, damn.
Yeah. Instead, Roy Nelson gets battered for 3 rounds.
It was, yeah, that was, that was an event where I was like, oh crap, maybe I should get into this more. Like it was like I thought it was a good event. Maybe I guess the main event could have been a little bit more exciting because it was Henderson versus Evans.
But they lost the main event due to injury.
Yeah, it was kind of like, oh, we got to put something together for these guys. So
which happens a lot in that sport.
yeah, which is kind of a shame, but sometimes it's good, right? Like the Diaz fight came out of that. Diaz and McGregor fight came out of that because RDA got injured. He injured his foot or something. But I don't know, man. Once I saw what happened to McGregor in that first Diaz fight, in the first fight, I was like, okay, I don't know if he would have beaten RDA. RDA would have just like, I don't know. It would be interesting. So on Eddie Alvarez. Eddie Alvarez freaking won the belt. Did you see that? Oh, damn, that hook. Boom. And then like RDA is just like all wobbly. And it's like.
I thought it was RDA's time, right? Like he changed one of his trainers. I think he was with, I don't know. Me and Gambo were talking about this, but he's with a new like maybe strength and conditioning type coach.
Okay.
And it helped him a lot because this guy emphasizes, maybe it's Steve Curson, I think.
Steve Curson? Yeah, I think so. I think Gambo talks about Steve Curson.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. It's all about like strengthening the muscles of the foot, giving you better control, right?
Oh, yes, I've heard about this. Like the most important thing, like I think Steve Curson said that the most important thing for fighters is foot strength. It was like, what? It's foot strength?
Yeah.
Like that's not, like how does that help? But apparently, like obviously it helps with like movement and mobility and all that kind of stuff. I'm not a scientist, so I don't really know. But
yeah, but if you look at it, right, like what is the foundation of boxing or stand-up fighting? It's your footwork, right? Your stance. That's the first thing you have to learn, your stance. How to put weight. Let's say boxing stance, you're going to put weight on your forward foot, which gives you your punches more power, right? And you're going to have like a lighter step on your back foot. If you look at like dance, what's the foundation of dance? Well, it's your top rock. It's basically your stance, your footwork, like your standing footwork. Like capoeira is the same thing. Like your feet are what connects you to the ground, right? Like it's going to be, that's your one thing that's always connected to the ground while you're dancing or boxing or fighting, or capoeira is both dance and fight. But it's like, it gives you all your control. So that is your foundation. Your foundation is like key to every other movement.
Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
you can't throw a kick if you can't stand without balance. You can't throw a punch if you can't stand without balance. So to having such a strong foundation, you could build your style. You could build so much on top of that.
That's interesting to say because like you could make that analogy towards dance, like I mean, well, any kind of dance, right? Because most of the dancing is like done on your feet, and like if you have a good foundation, you could kind of build it from there and kind of turn it into whatever you want it to turn into.
Yeah. So looking at the example of dancing and fighting again, right? If there's an all styles fight, it's mixed martial arts, right? Yeah. If there's a all style dance, it's all styles, right? And you look at mixed martial arts, the most effective martial art out of all of them was proven by the Gracies. It's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's ground fighting. Because once you can control somebody's body and take the fight to the ground, if they're not trained in that style, you can take away their feet, right? They're not standing anymore. You're fighting on the ground, and this is your world, right? To me, out of all the all style dances, what's the most effective? Like if you had to choose one on your own, to me it would be, well, obviously I'm biased, but I would say it would be b-boying, because b-boying is dancing on the ground, right? Like if I'm gonna battle your style versus my style, like, sorry to call you out, but
No, go ahead.
like I could dance on my head, I could dance on my
Yeah.
elbows, I could dance on my back and my shoulders, right?
Yeah.
Like I could dance, like at a certain point you stop dancing on your hands and you start just dancing on the ground, right? The ground becomes more of a, like a canvas, you know, than your body. Like you have a bigger connection to the ground itself, right?
I think that's interesting to say, because like, there's a factor that plays into dance rather than fighting, because dance, okay, like there's, because obviously dance is, I feel like dance is more of an art, and like, and fighting is more of like, I don't know, they're just different, right?
Yes.
Because then if you're dancing, let's say it's a b-boy versus a popper. The b-boy is gonna be on the ground, but it depends on what kind of music is playing. Is it breaking music? Is it like funk music? Is it like what kind of music is it? And you're judging it based on how they are in the music, or who knows? It could be based on some other criteria too, right?
Yes.
So that's the thing that I see, it's kind of different. But I understand the fact that like, okay, if the b-boy's dancing on beat with the top rock, and then like goes to the ground and does some crazy, like maybe does some power moves, and then comes back and dances on top, that's a big advantage over the popper who's just like dancing on top and maybe not even killing any beats or whatever. But there's a lot of things that come into play, right? But I see that point. How much has strategy come into play when you're breaking? Do you think about it like logically, like when you're battling somebody, or is it more of just like an unconscious thing where you just go in there and just do whatever you do?
It is both, probably. Yeah. My strategy for battles, I don't know. I think my strategy is fairly complex, right? Like I drill moves a certain way, I memorize moves a certain way. Like my strategy inside a battle also has an outer layer of the strategy outside the battle, like the training itself. But just going to your question, how important is it? It's equally in the moment and equally thought out and planned. You know, it's never one thing, it's waves of both. So like my sets, I'm very much a set guy, but my sets have huge holes in them, like room for freestyle. You know, my sets are meant to have freestyle components with them.
Okay.
Right? They're just punctuation or something. Right? Like they're just exclamation points at the end of sentences or capital letters at the beginning of sentences.
Right.
Right? So yeah, I have a very cerebral style. Like things are thought out and things are freestyled together. So I don't know, strategy is hugely important. It's
because I think that's something that might be missing from all style dancers or people who are enter all styles. Because that's something I think about now more often. Is like, okay, I'm battling Kellyanne. Okay, if there's a dance hall song that goes on, I'm screwed.
Yeah.
I'm fucking screwed. Like I can't beat her at that, like, because she knows how to dance to that music, right?
yeah.
And dance to it really well. But like if they play funk, okay, then I'm gonna like kill it. Or I thought about it too, and also how like the judges have their criteria in how they judge each dancer. It could be different, right? Like if there's a b-boy there, he's gonna maybe be biased to a b-boy or judge the b-boy even harsher than the other styles because he doesn't know about the other styles that much.
Yeah.
So those things come into play, and I think about them, and I'm like, how come nobody likes talking about this? Like, how come nobody talks about these kind of like strategy and all this kind of stuff? And these things come into play, and people wonder why they lose or whatnot. Like, most of the time, I know why I lost. Sometimes I'm like, maybe not. But yeah, man.
Yeah, my style, I consider my style like an attacking style. Like I feel like my moves kind of have a battle purpose to them, a lot of them. So yeah, I feel like for my style of dance and for b-boying in particular, there is a huge element of strategy.
Hmm.
I feel like maybe other styles dancers, like maybe they learn to dance on a stage facing a crowd, so
Yep.
it's a little bit more of a performance strategy,
Hmm.
right? Like my style, I have a big element of performance. I play to the crowd as well as I play to my opponent,
Hmm.
as well as playing to the judges. But it's just different. It's like maybe one of my primary focuses is like to battle another person,
Yeah.
right?
One thing that I figured out too is like once you add a burn, even if it's like not even a big burn,
Mm-hmm.
it counts in your favor when you battle that person. As long as you're doing it and it looks like it comes across pretty decently, right?
Yeah.
Like sometimes you could burn somebody and you didn't even do anything really sick, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, I burned you, but you didn't do anything, right? So as long as it kind of comes across in like a decent way, it's like okay, I get why he burned the person because they did a sick move or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
They did a signature move, whatever, like that. But I noticed that, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm gonna try to focus on some burns because either you have, let's say you have your get down. I like to call it the get down, where you just kind of like, I guess in b-boy terms, it's just like your top rock, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe it's like some of your simple footwork, the 6-step or whatever, and then you get into your throwdown, which is like more your eye candy moves, and all the stuff, by the way, is coming from like the get down and throw down, whatever. But yeah, you have your eye candy moves,
Yeah.
and then um, you have to beat that person in both elements, right? So you got to beat them. You got to be a better dancer than them.
Mm-hmm.
Then you also have to have better eye candy than them, and sometimes that can incorporate some burns, right? So okay, so it's just not a performance because some people they enter a battle and it's just a performance to them, right? They're
Yeah.
not battling to that person. Maybe they're just performing for the judges or they're performing for the crowd, but they're not going at it with that person. So I feel like that's a big thing, especially in breaking. Like how many burns in a freaking battle? Like you do like a bunch of them.
Yeah, man. I went to a freestyle battle recently, and there's one battle where it was really obviously the two guys who were battling. One guy was very much rapping to the crowd to elicit a reaction,
Yeah.
to the point where he wasn't trying to get a reaction from his opponent, from the point where he wasn't having that conversation with his opponent anymore. And I was just like, man, I'm looking at it. Yeah, you're getting the best reaction from the crowd, but man, it's not dope. Like,
Yeah, it might as well just be a show. It's
yeah,
not like a battle then, right? Battle in quotation marks.
yeah, like everything, like big props to him for doing that in front of those people and battling. And, it's never easy to battle. You're going to test yourself and put yourself out there and you might get smoked, right? Like,
Hmm.
but, I don't know, just, it was good, but there's something really missing there if you're not battling your opponent, you know?
And we have to also mention that it's a lot of things to think about in a battle. If I
Mm-hmm.
mean, sometimes people they just try to zone everything out and just like, okay, let's just dance,
Mm-hmm.
right? It depends on the purpose behind what the individual dancer is doing, like because if you think about it, okay, there's a crowd. Okay, I'm nervous. There's a crowd. There's judges. Maybe they're big time judges. Oh shoot, like it's Mr. Wiggles judging me or something.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's an opponent. Oh, this might be a big time opponent. It might be like I don't know, like freaking whoever it is, right? And then you gotta think about, oh, okay, I got my signature moves. I gotta use those signature moves. Oh, what kind of music's gonna be playing? Like, there's so many things that you can
Yeah.
think about,
Yeah.
and then it could throw you off so badly. So I think you should. Well, I give credit to anybody who comes out and just enters a battle.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of things to think about.
Yeah. Well, there's like a mental limit to how much you can kind of keep in your maybe line of focus.
Yeah.
Right. So I feel like for me personally, when I'm going into a battle, let's say an individual round, I could probably I limit myself to only holding maybe two pieces of information in my head, right? And then the rest will come to me in the moment and will be my freestyle, right? So I might be just thinking like Actually, I don't want to give away any of what I would be thinking, but just something simple, right? Just
Well, that's not really giving away anything. Like if you say if you have two things in your mind,
okay.
and
So I
then
might
when
say
you
like
freestyle,
strong top rock and controlled breathing.
yeah. And the thing is, even if you say all this stuff, you probably still beat people. Like even if you mention all your secrets, like okay, this is what I do, this is how I prepare, this is like all my training methods, and
Yeah.
you put it on the table, like 90% of the people are not going to take that into account and do that or like
Oh, yeah,
learn
that's
from that and battle you and beat you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I could say this is how you become the greatest popper in the world, and then you might not even take that information and use it, or maybe you don't even know. Like maybe you wouldn't even know how to implement it or something, and then I would just end up beating you or something. Like I'm pretending to be like like a huge time popper, right? I'm not saying I am, but just imagine if Kite was like, okay, this is what like which is a big time popper. Kite, this is what I do. This is how I train. Okay, you could use this blueprint too if you want to battle me and beat me. Like still, like you'd probably still lose against him.
Yeah.
So that's what I don't know. That's what I think too. So that's why I'm pretty open about everything I say. Because like, okay, how many people are actually gonna listen to this and implement it and work on it? So.
Yeah. If somebody's out there worrying about what you're doing, then they're not worrying about what they're doing themselves, right?
And that's the thing too. Like I hear that in fighting too. Like Conor McGregor he says, losers focus on winners and winners focus on winning. So in other words, losers in quotation marks. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings.
Yeah.
They focus on other people, but then winners they focus on themselves and what they can do. So
yeah, your mindset has to be like bulletproof. It has to be impregnable. Like, I don't know. I'm just a little bit pensive to like.
You don't have to say your stuff. You don't have to.
Yeah.
You don't have to mention it. But I'm just saying that's the way I think when you say, oh, I have two things in my mind and I'm just gonna go in there and then fill it up with freestyle. And stuff.
It's probably common with a lot of like sports psychology just to have limit to what you're focusing on, right? Because you can't focus on everything. Everything is infinite.
Yeah, you can't like I heard that you could only focus on one thing at a time. Like even if you're doing multiple tasks, like multitasking. You focus on one task and then you drop your focus for that task and then you go to another task and then and it goes on.
Yeah, there's a balance, right? As if you could focus on one thing, but on a more macro scale, you can focus on one thing with one secondary thing on the outside of that. I don't know, awareness.
Yeah, you can't be fully attentive to two things at once. That's I think.
That's where mantras come in, right? Like I don't know. Yeah, mantras are a huge thing. Like you hear a lot of mantras in yoga. You hear a lot of mantras in just if you were to read books on learning. And it's important because it's like a way of steadying your mind. And if you could steady your mind, you could kind of navigate through things more clearly.
Yeah, and I think you could see the lack of that in inexperienced dancers or inexperienced battlers. You could sense that franticness in their mind when they're out there battling, and it's kind of cringeworthy because if you're performing and you're kind of like and then you're really nervous and you let that kind of show through, then the crowd's gonna be nervous too, right? Like if somebody comes in and they're dancing and then they're kind of holding back or they're just like second guessing themselves, then the crowd's gonna be second guessing that like, oh, are they gonna be on beat? I don't know, I'm afraid, right? And they don't enjoy what that dancer's trying to I guess portray.
Yeah.
I don't know. I talk a bunch of shit about all this kind of stuff where I think about it a lot. But that's some of my beliefs. Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Nice.
Anyways, have you been watching any of the Olympics?
A little bit, not much, but it's pretty interesting. I saw some soccer and some volleyball and some synchronized diving.
Synchronized diving is like, I would be so scared to do that, man. That looks so freaky. Don't you think like it would be pretty scary?
I'm just really impressed on how they can control such a difficult maneuver flawlessly. in sync, right? Like,
Yeah, like no
man,
splash at all.
yeah, like me and my crew can't even get a 8 count of top rock together, right? These guys could do flip and land.
Uh,
Like, it's just, I understand it's like a really high level to get to that point.
yeah, it's insane. Like every time the Olympics come on,
Hmm.
I'm like, man, I could have been an Olympian. I could have been like Michael Phelps or something. Like I always
Yeah.
think like I could be like in the Olympics or whatever. And I'm like, and I realize it sinks in later that I'm like, oh, damn, those guys train like crazy, like twice a day, like every day, and all that kind of stuff
Hmm.
for 4 years, and like that's
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah. Because they're really closing in on like, they're closing in on perfection, right? Like, perfection's this impossible thing, but you can get close and you can get infinitely close to it, right? And then they're just putting all this effort to getting a micron closer to being perfect, right? And one of them gets to have the gold medal. Out of this event, only one of you gets first place.
Yeah, it's like it's so many people. Like if you can imagine how many people are actually training for this one event, and it comes down to like, let's say Michael Phelps in his butterfly race or whatever. It comes down to like maybe 1/100th of a second. It's the difference between you touching that wall and like you ending up fourth and not getting a medal at all. It's like,
Yeah.
holy crap, motherfucker, what are you like doing? Like, how do you train for this? Like, this is insane.
Yeah. Yeah. At that point, it's really a big lifestyle, right? Like, because early on in breaking, I always loved that it was a lifestyle. I always wanted to be true to that, be true to the people before me who were dancing this way, be true to it as a lifestyle. And like, man, I imagine somebody who's swimming at that level, like everything is swimming, you know, the food they eat, the nutrients they take, the
Yeah,
what
everything they do.
they're
Like,
training.
I'm eating this. Why?
sleep.
So I could be faster. like this is for energy when I freaking swim.
Yeah,
This is for my backstroke.
yeah, exactly. Like, I sleep out in this chamber because it changes the oxygen so that I could rest at high altitudes.
Yeah,
You know,
like
you ever seen that one where I think it's a cyclist who has this chamber outside his house and he seals it up and he changes the air pressure.
no, I haven't seen that. Wow.
So yeah, it's just like, I don't know, like, it's altitude training, but the air pressure you rest at is also important, not just the air pressure you train at. So people sleep
What?
in like chambers.
It's like a hyperbolic time chamber. It's like
Yeah.
some like freaking Dragon Ball Z type stuff. That is crazy. I never heard of that, resting in a specialized air pressure type chamber thing. That's insane. And can you imagine being one of those athletes who is like way like light years ahead of your competition? Like I was watching
Yeah.
Katie Ledecky, a U.S. Swimmer, and she would just be. I think it was a long distance race, and she like pulled ahead so far, like it was crazy. There's like 3 or 4 body lengths away from the other people, so she was like pulling ahead so far ahead, and it was like, wow, that's crazy. Like how do you do that? It's
Yeah.
fucking insane.
Yeah. How do you be before your time, right? Like, people are going to take another 5 years to catch up to your level.
And I still can't believe how many world records are being broken. When you think of like how fast can somebody actually go? Like let's say it's sprinting. Let's say it's 100 meters. Like how fast can a human possibly go in 100 meters?
Yeah.
Like can it go below 9 seconds? Can it go below 8 seconds?
Yeah.
Like what? How can you?
Yeah.
Like is there a limit?
No, because it's like the concept of perfection, right? Like, it's Fibonacci sequence if you're familiar with sacred geometry.
Fibonacci, ooh,
Right?
in nature.
But it's just you can get closer and closer to perfection. You can get infinitely close to that, right? Like, what was your question? If
Like,
can someone do it in 8 seconds?
yeah, can somebody do it in 7 seconds? Like is
Yeah.
there
Do you
a
think in
man who can do
100
that?
years people could run that in 7 seconds?
I guess with technology and like figuring out stuff, I don't know. Like, I guess the more you know and the more you can apply to your running, then I guess the faster you can go. But there must be some kind of limit. Like, you can't do 100 meters. Like, a person can't do 100 meters in like 3 seconds. Like, that seems like impossible. But I don't know.
But we do impossible things right now. This microphone's impossible.
Yeah, I don't know how this microphone works.
Like it's just the people who are gonna break that record of 7 seconds are gonna build on what the people at 8 seconds already put in forth of them, right?
Mhm.
It's like it's just the way evolution goes, right? Like things always change.
It's a wild thing to think about.
Yeah.
And I think about this quite a bit because
Mm-hmm.
even extrapolating that to like the universe, how big is this galaxy? It has like 200 billion stars. What? And then there's more galaxies. Like how many more galaxies are there?
Mm-hmm.
There's like freaking like a million galaxies or whatever it is. Like how big is space? It's just huge. What's not like what's outside of space?
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's infinite. It's infinity, right? Like just things like you're almost like a mosquito in the universe of infinity, right? Like if I learn air flares and dedicate my life learning air flares, I'm still just a speck. I'm still just a grain of sand, right? Like it's
Yeah,
on a large scale. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I'm just saying things go infinitely in all directions and inward and outward. It's like there's so much you could question and never find answers to, but the fact that you're questioning it, you start to find some answers.
Yeah, wow. We're getting hella philosophical
Oh,
on this.
yeah,
Because
man.
I like doing this though. It's awesome, man. It's so cool. By the way, when you mentioned like flares or did you hear about that thing? I think somebody posted on Facebook like air flares were introduced into gymnastics because of breaking.
Yeah, I saw that a long time ago. Yeah, it's the first gymnast move that has its origin in street dance.
That's insane.
Yeah.
So if you like, this is one thing I think about too is the scope of your influence, how it affects so many other people that you don't even know it affects. Like I could be affecting somebody in China right now.
Yeah.
Right? Like you don't even know. You could be affecting somebody like 20 years from now.
Yeah.
And you don't even know it. You don't even know who that person is. That person's not even alive.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
Yeah.
It's insane, bro. Like it's crazy. I sound like I'm high.
Yeah. That's part of infinity, right? Like if you look at the Thomas Flair, right? That's the original name. It's the Thomas Flair from gymnastics because there's a gymnast, somebody, Thomas, who invented this move. Then it went to breaking. The B-boys took this flare and they evolved it to an air flare. Now it went back to gymnastics, right? Like there's a shift in polarities there. One day the air flare is going to go back to breaking with the evolution of gymnastics in it, right? Like the toe pointed air flare or something, and then it's just gonna go back and forth for infinity.
They're just gonna kill a beat with like the toe while they're doing an air flare or
Yeah.
some shit. Like I don't know. Like who knows? It's gonna be insane. So yeah, man, I think about it all the time. What are some other stuff that you like are into other than like dance? Like we talked a little bit about MMA and universe type stuff and Fibonacci.
Yeah, I'm really into learning, because learning how to break dance without really a teacher got me to seek out teachers in other things, and one of those things was books. And through books on learning, I feel like I have a different understanding of what I don't understand and a different understanding of what patterns exist in the universe. So now my way of thinking is kind of changed. So I see similarities in everything, right? There's similarities to fighting and breaking. There's similarities to day and night. Like the polarity of that is like gymnasts and breaking. Like, so it's easier for me to go on tangents because I can just expand ideas infinitely now, right?
Yeah.
Like, so I don't know. I'm into learning, so I like books a lot.
Yeah.
But learning kind of gets me a bit spacey. Like this conversation I'm having with you right now, like how I want to spread as much knowledge as I have to you because I'm trying to maybe send you a message. Like I'm at a certain point, I'm having this conversation with everybody. I'm always talking to people about infinities and about like the balance.
Yeah,
balance is a huge one I always come to.
It's an interesting thing that you say when you like enjoy learning in books because it's what seems to like have kept you going with breaking? Because I always thought you were younger for some reason than you are.
Yeah.
I was like, and then I found out like, what? You're like like,
Yo, my birthday's next week.
oh, what? Okay.
Yeah.
Happy early birthday.
Thanks.
Well, I won't say your age, but like, yeah, like
It's
I found out your age, and I'm like, whoa, like, and I think that's a big part of why you seem as youthful as you are is because you take in learning all the time. Like you haven't gone to like some OGs or whatever. They stop learning and just like their style just stays the same for like for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that's the right aspect when you want to like grow or anything. Like, because you're not feeding yourself anything new, and then so I feel like that's what's a big part of your success in always like going forward. And I always see you at like sessions, and like you're always kind of like practicing. So yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was just a statement. That wasn't a question.
Yeah. No, I'm just trying to think. I had some kind of point in there, but then I lost it.
I'll probably find it a bit later. But the thing is that's crazy is that you could I think about it like you could be affecting like so many people. Like even with this podcast that we're doing, it's like this could be reaching potentially people like out in like freaking Africa or something. Somebody could be listening to this and be like, "Oh, I could kind of relate," or like, "Oh, I kind of understand what these guys are saying."
Yeah.
And then do something based on what you kind of said, or that will like what seemed true to them, and then it kind of comes back, and then you find out about it on the news, and you're like, oh, what? This happened on the news, and then you didn't even know you affected that person who did that thing, and that you saw on the news.
Yeah,
What?
it's possible.
That's insane. So
yeah, because it's like our energies all affect each other's energies, right? By putting these microphones and recording it and sharing it, whatever this conversation is, it like allows other people to get value from this conversation.
Yeah, and I hope people do. I hope that's like it definitely widens the scope for sure, because having it recorded and having it like up there in the ether of the internet seems like something that could benefit people. Either like you're getting information from this, you're just like having a laugh out of this, like it's an entertaining thing, or it's both, or maybe you could relate to it. So
yeah, because like when I started breaking, right, it's like I feel like there wasn't much out there. There was the internet was around, so there was information out there, but not to the level there is today, right? Like if there's somebody coming up and breaking, or not even breaking, just if there's somebody who hears this and it influences them, like that's something that I didn't have, right? Like a lot of times I had, or not to the level where it's just out there. It's just kind of available to everybody right now.
yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah. It's insane. Any shout outs you want to give before we end up like cutting this off? Because we could probably go on for a while.
Yeah, probably. Some shout outs, I'll give a shout out to the Gago Brothers and just a shout out to everybody, right? Like, I don't know, this podcast, most of the people be hearing this would be dancers, right? So shout out to whoever's listening. Like, thanks for listening to me and like me going off on tangents and just like trying to share something. Like, this is awesome. I'm glad to be a part of it.
Yeah, I gotta give a shout out to Canadian Footwear.
That's
we
right.
fit you. Winnipeg, Calgary, what's up? If you're trying to look for something for your feet, you need some shoes or whatever, just come to Canadian Footwear. It's all good, man. We'll take care of you. All right. Yeah, I gotta give a shout out to Rising Star Academy of Arts. We're starting summer camp soon. And Patrick Hilario is joining Rising Star, and he's gonna be teaching breaking there. So keep a lookout keep a watch for that. And I'm teaching popping and locking as well. So come out to that. Shout out to Andrew, who's always on this technical type stuff. Shout out to Good Funk. Yeah. And thanks, Stallz, for being here. It was a pleasure. We should do this again. I like this universe talk. It is super, super fascinating. All right, CypherTalk. We're out. Bye.
Peace.